Welcome into Outkick the Show, boys and girls. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesday afternoons, wherever you may be. We'll be live tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, as we always are, with Outkick the Show, 300 a.m. FM stations nationwide, satellite radio, and the podcast, which you can go get earlier in the day to help entertain you and pass the time. I hope all of you read the anonymous mailbag. I hope all of you are aware that I am the wokest host of all time. Welcome in to Woke Center, AM, FM, everything edition. Lots to get to today, but I want to start off by telling you, now's the time to gamble. Get ready for the Kentucky Derby. Get ready for all of your gambling. And you will be glad that you did, because you'll be able to price everything at sportsbookreview.com. Go to sportsbookreview.com and you will be ready. Whatever the case may be, whatever you may need, you will be able to go to sportsbookreview.com, get the best gambling news. I'll give you my picks at the end. Your stick is getting old. You're dead, motherfucker, right off the top. I happened to look over, and I happened to see something, and I happened to think, you know what? Is that what a pussy would say? And the answer is, yes, that is what a pussy would say. And if that is what a pussy would say, guess what Clay Kyle's going to do? Execute you. And you will never, ever be able to enter into these hallowed grounds and comment again. Got to wake up early in the morning. When Woke Center's here, I might happen to look over and see, oh my God, is that what a pussy would send? If the answer is yes, you're dead. Bye. You'll never be back again. ESPN. Losing 500,000 subscribers in the month of April. That's nearly 17,000 people a day deciding not to continue to give ESPN money. That is, my friends, pretty unbelievable. All right, pretty unbelievable when you break down the numbers on this. That is nearly 17,000 a day. I understand if you're wearing a pussy hat, if you're walking around in your vagina cap, that might trigger you. But guess what? Raw business will tell you, if you used to have a lot of customers and now you have a lot less customers, that's not how you run a business. I'm going to get into discussing that and why it's a big deal. NBA ratings. The media has taken root of a false narrative, which is the idea that the NBA ratings are phenomenal and they're so great. The NBA is a niche sport, all right? I like to watch the playoffs. Most people are not watching the playoffs. The WWE Raw is dunking on the NBA playoffs frequently. I'm going to give you a data point right here, and I'll circle back to it. 11 million people watched the first day of the draft. All right? 11 million people watched the first day of the draft. Do you know how many people watched the most watched Game 7 in the first round in 14 years in the NBA? 6.8 million. The Pro Bowl dunked all over Pacers versus Cavs. All right? The NFL Pro Bowl, which everybody gets on Twitter and ridicules and says, why does the Pro Bowl even exist? It dunked all over Game 7 of Pacers Cavs. Most people did not watch LeBron. The NBA is a niche product. By the time it gets to the finals, some people will buy in. But comparing it to the NFL is like comparing me to Howard Stern, except less accurate, because I'm probably moving in that direction, whereas the NBA ain't moving in the direction of the NFL at all. The prom dress viral absurdity. I'm going to tee off on this. I might spend most of the show on it. Did you see this girl who went to prom and dressed up in an Asian dress, and then somebody came out and said, my culture is not your prom dress? You pathetic motherfucker. I'm going to dunk all over this idea, which has taken root in the far left wing of our country, that cultural appropriation is, first of all, a thing, and secondly, that it's a bad thing. Cultural appropriation defines the country and the world. We all take the best things from every country and we make it better. If you only take things from your own culture and refuse to entertain or consider the ideas of other cultures, do you know what that's called? Racism. That's the very foundation of racism. If I said I'm only interested in things that white people create, that's the very foundation of racism. And if I said only white people can use things that white people create, that's the very foundation of racism. This is why I say that if you look at arguments, the political spectrum is a wrong idea. What we have here is a circle. And the far left has now begun to make the same arguments that right-wing racists used to make in the 1950s. In 60 years, we've completed the circle. The far left has become the far right. That's what segregation is. That's what wanting your own safe spaces is. That's what saying white people can't wear Asian dresses is. It's going to drive me insane if I keep going on too long. I'm going to get to that momentarily, and I'm going to give you gambling picks. But let's circle back around. Number one story of the day here. I got to tell you, number one story of the day is beyond a shadow of a doubt. If you're interested in sports media, ESPN losing 500,000 subscribers in April. Now, at least they didn't start Woke Center AM and spend $35 million on it. Give Michelle Beadle $5 million a year to tell white men to shut up. Give Jalen Rose $3 million a year to criticize Shania Twain for having an opinion on Donald Trump. And give Mike Greenberg $6.5 million a year to break up the existing Mike and Mike radio show and allow me to make millions of dollars more because that show is collapsing. But we'll get to that in a momentarily. The John Sniffer, a.k.a. John Skipper, a.k.a. the coke-addled former president of ESPN who drove the business completely into a wall, the decision that he made, I am told, and baking a lot of conversations, has destroyed 5 different programs. All right, you may not like Michelle Beadle, but Sports Nation ratings are down substantially since she left and was replaced by Carrie Champion. The ESPN SportsCenter AM ratings are down 20% and being replaced by Get Up. Mike and Mike has tanked in the replacement of Mike Greenberg by Trey Wingo. The New York City studio has drastically overexceeded budget and is costing a major drain on the existing models that are there. Everything has fallen apart. Everything has fallen apart at ESPN, including this new disastrous AM Woke Center show, which no one is watching. It is getting dunked on by Peppa the Pig in about 45 minutes, maybe even before I finish this show. If one of you wants to monitor Showbuzz Daily, you can come in and give us the most recent update on Peppa Pig versus AM Woke Center and see which one is being able to make more money and bring in more viewership. But here's the deal. Losing 500,000 customers in the month of April is a massive indictment of ESPN's existing business model. If you do the math on that, let's say ESPN is costing everybody roughly $8 a month. That's $96 a year times 12 months a year. That's costing them $48 million off their budget in perpetuity. Because when you lose those 500,000 subscribers, they probably are not coming back. They are gone forever. So that's $48 million in 1 month that you are just chopping off the existing ESPN budget forever. And in the process, over the last several years, ESPN has lost 15 million subscribers. In the month of April, they lost nearly 17,000 cable subscribers a day. A day! Think about how crazy that is. If you were in a business, no matter what that business was, and you found out that you were losing 17,000 people a day, how insane would you go? That explains all of the decisions that ESPN is making. They are insanely panicked at ESPN. They're saying, you know what, let's give $15 million to Michelle Beadle, Jalen Rose, and Mike Greenberg. Let's make them do a morning show that nobody's going to watch. Let's tank SportsCenter. They are collapsing. It is unfortunate to see because there are a lot of great people at ESPN, but this is what happens when a business, which had a virtuous circle going on, suddenly turns into a complete and abject failure. And this is happening across the board. People say, why do you focus on ESPN with cord cutting? One, they have way more money to lose. If you combine all of the lost subscribers from every other cable network that is competing with ESPN, CBS Sports Network, NFL Network, FS1, NBC, all of those companies, and add up what they lost in the most recent month, it's barely half, if that, more like a third of what ESPN by itself lost. This is a disaster. And again, I've given you basic economics on this, but I'm writing a lot about it in my book. Basically, ESPN spent as much money as they possibly could on programming rights. including $2.5 billion for the ESPN at the same time that their business model was collapsing. An easy way to think about this is, what if Netflix, which now is spending billions of dollars a year on new programming, suddenly started losing 17,000 subscribers a day? They would be in trouble. Now, Netflix at least could bring back in their business expenses and not have to spend more. The problem for ESPN is they guaranteed these contract amounts for some of them almost 2 decades. So their business is collapsing at the same time that the amount they're going to have to pay out is increasing. I don't have to be a business genius to look at this and say, uh-oh, this ain't good. And so as a result, I think ESPN's not going to be able to afford Monday Night Football. And this all ties in with the NBA. All right, this all ties in with the NBA. I want you guys to follow me along here. ESPN has set a fundamentally artificial narrative. That narrative has been this: the NFL is collapsing and the NBA is surging. Why are they selling that narrative? Because they can't afford the NFL anymore, and because they desperately have overpaid for the NBA. I want you to follow me along this path here. The NFL ratings are down 20% in the past 2 years. There is zero doubt, as I have said on this show and on all my shows, that the protests substantially impacted in a negative way the NFL's business. All right? That is the truth. As a result, the NFL numbers are down. But they are down from the top of a mountain. Everybody ridicules Thursday night football. Everybody ridicules Monday night football. They dunk on the NBA ratings with impunity. Balls to the face, getting knocked to the ground style. That's the NFL ratings compared to the NBA ratings. The NFL is Pippen. The NBA is Patrick Ewing trying to draw the charge and getting the and one called on it. I gave you this data earlier, but this is a shocking data point that you probably won't hear very many other places. 11 million people watched the NFL Thursday night draft, first round. 6.8 million people watched on ABC LeBron James and the Pacers go head-to-head for Game 7 with LeBron James and the Cavs. Sorry if I crossed that up. Not LeBron James's Pacers. That was the highest-rated playoff first-round game in 14 years. And the NFL almost doubled it with its draft. That should be a mind-blowing number to all of you out there. Thursday night football doubled oftentimes what one random crappy Thursday night NFL game doubled oftentimes Game 7 of the Pacers and the Cavs. The NBA got wildly overpaid for its television product, $2.5 billion a year. It's getting outrated even in the playoffs frequently by WWE, which is costing right now a little bit over $200 million a year. The entire WWE is right now valued at $3 billion, and every year TNT and ESPN are on the hook to pay the NBA $2.5 billion a year. If you find this fascinating, make sure that you get my new book, which is going to be out in September. It's called Republicans Buy Sneakers Too, and it's basically taking a blowtorch to everything that we've seen happen in the world of sports over the past couple of years, and you guys are going to absolutely love it. It's already up on Amazon. I'm telling you right now, we're working on the cover. My suggestion for the cover, Donald Trump dunking balls in the face on Colin Kaepernick, and I think it's going to happen. They were like, we think that might be too controversial. I said, controversy is my middle name. I want Donald Trump dunking balls in the face style on Colin Kaepernick. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's also going to say on the cover, banned by CNN and ESPN, since neither of those companies will allow me to come on their network because I'm too much of a truth teller. All right, this is all the truth. Also, pay attention to this false narrative that is being sold that the NBA is up and the NFL is down. ESPN is desperate to try to justify the money that they spent on the NBA. Here's the truth. The NBA is not a league, it is a person, and his name is LeBron James. If LeBron loses to the Raptors, if the NBA officials allow it to happen, the NBA ratings are going to collapse faster going to come down. I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, and it didn't come to me. I was trying to think of a they're going to come down faster than a virgin's pants in a whorehouse. Didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But the truth of the matter is this. The NBA ratings are going to collapse as soon as LeBron James leaves. And for all the NBA rating shenanigans, okay, the NBA ratings are actually lower now than they were when Michael Jordan was playing. They have never attempted or even approached the numbers of viewers that Michael Jordan had in 1996, 1997, and 1998, and that's even with LeBron James at his absolute apex playing a 7-game series. All right? That's the truth. And a lot of people out there aren't sharing this with you because they are either one of two things. They're incentivized like ESPN is to make their purchase not seem as bad, or they are just not smart enough to even understand how numbers work. And they hear, oh, everybody's piling on Thursday Night Football and saying it sucks. Everybody's piling on Monday Night Football and saying it sucks. NFL ratings are down. This is the other problem. A lot of people can't have two divergent things in their head at the same time because the way their brain works, everything has to be connected. The NFL can be down from its peak, and the NBA can still not be doing very well. Both of those things can be true. The NBA is entirely reliant upon LeBron James. And I got a good argument here that I was going to share with you. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow on my show. But I did this is the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I said I'm old school. I read the Wall Street Journal and I read the New York Times every day. This was on the front page of the business and finance section in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. Okay? Largest opening weekends in the history of Hollywood. All right, are you ready for this? This is Avengers Infinity War. I'm going to go see it this week. My kids are excited to go see it. They love superhero movies. Biggest opening in the history of Hollywood. This is not indexed for inflation, so obviously there's flaw there, but I don't need inflation guy to explain that to me. Star Wars The Force Awakens is number 2. Star Wars The Last Jedi 3. Jurassic World 4. Marvel's The Avengers 5. Black Panther 6. Avengers Age of Ultron 7. Captain America Civil War 8. Beauty and the Beast 9. Iron Man 3 10. If you look at this number, these lists, it's almost all Disney, and it's almost all superheroes and pre-existing franchises. Star Wars, the Jurassic World, and all the superhero movies. Beauty and the Beast as well, which is a franchise. What does that tell us? We live in an incredibly complicated and complex society where tons of entertainment options are constantly being thrown at everybody every single day. Two things that people want. They want familiarity and they want newness. Many products right now are predicated on selling you familiarity with newness. What is a sequel? Familiarity and newness. The best possible product to be selling right now in American society is familiarity mixed with newness. LeBron James sells right now in the NBA because everybody's familiar with him and every single season is a sequel. But the minute LeBron James is not a big force in the NBA, I think NBA ratings are going to fall off the cliff because whether you love or hate him, LeBron James brings in an audience. Everybody out there has an opinion on LeBron James. You either love or hate him. Who else in the NBA do you care about if you are a casual fan? The NBA's got their 3 million. They got 3 million people who are going to show up for their first round playoff games in general. The only thing that takes it to the next level is LeBron. Steph doesn't work. Steph Curry ain't LeBron. He's not Jordan. The numbers don't reflect that Steph Curry moves the needle. You need controversy. The second most controversial person in the NBA right now, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant doesn't move the needle very much. James Harden doesn't move the needle very much. Neither does Russell Westbrook, who can't even get outside of the first round. I'm telling you right now, there is going to be a tremendous collapse in the NBA ratings, and they ain't that good right now the minute LeBron James shuffles out of the league. LeBron is 33. He's going to be 34 next year. Maybe he's got a couple of years left. Go look, if you want to do historical research, to what happened after Jordan left in the NBA. People were not NBA fans. They were Michael Jordan fans. The same thing is true of golf. When Tiger Woods ain't there, boom, collapse. And it's not because Tiger Woods is so much better in golf than everybody else. Golf for a long time was arguing, oh, we've got tons of great young talent. Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott, whoever you want to name on that list. Tiger and Phil moved the needle. Once Tiger was gone, Phil wasn't moving the needle anymore. You got to have needle movers. And that's the era that we live in. The NBA does not have any needle movers going forward. The NFL is a great product because the players don't matter. If you were designing a business, it would look a lot like the NFL. By and large, the individual players, other than the quarterback, they don't really matter. You don't even know most of them. And yet you still watch the NFL. The Super Bowl's ratings are not impacted very much by who actually plays in the Super Bowl. That's because the NFL has such a good product to sell. The truth of the matter is this. We got major issues in the NFL that nobody wants, the NBA, that nobody wants to acknowledge. The NFL's problems are much discussed. Nobody's talking about the NBA because ESPN has spent so much money on it and because TNT has spent so much money on it, they're not going to tell you the truth. All right, I got to get to this now. I am fired the fuck up over this story. I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm going to show you this right now. This is intriguing in and of itself. Let me pull it up right now. Did you guys see the prom dress controversy? The prom dress controversy drove me bonkers, all right? The prom dress controversy. People are furious that this girl wore this dress. Can you see that on Periscope? Can you see that on Facebook? I'll leave it for you for a sec. I'll zoom in a little bit. Cute girl, I don't know. Hopefully she's somewhat close to 18 because I just called her a cute girl. But she is right there, and she is in that dress, okay? She is a prom, she's a prom girl. She picked her prom dress. Cute girl, whatever. I don't know how old she is. She's 18, all right. Can I say she's cute if she's 17, or is that considered creepy? I don't know. It's not like she's changed a ton if she's 17 or 18. She's going to prom. She's a junior or senior. Evidently, she's a senior. She posted her prom photo, and everybody lost their minds online. In particular, this guy did, this loser. This has been retweeted like 178,000 times and favorited. This Asian guy said, "My culture is not," in all caps, "your goddamn prom dress." And then somebody else piles in and says, "This isn't okay. I wouldn't wear traditional Korean, Japanese, or any other traditional dress, and I'm Asian. I wouldn't wear traditional Irish or Swedish or Greek dress either. There's a lot of history behind these clothes. Sad." The war that is going on right now in our culture, and I think it's an important war, and I think I am certainly one of the combatants in it, is the war between people who believe in this country as a melting pot, that we take the best from everywhere in the world and try to apply it here. We did not invent the idea of democracy. It came from ancient Greece and from ancient Rome. We did not invent coffee. It came from ancient Ethiopian goat herders, seems to be the prevailing sentiment. We did invent the internet. We did invent mass media on a global scale. We invented the Hollywood blockbuster. We did not invent salsa. We took Italian food, mixed it with American food, and made pizza. The story of the world is something is created somewhere. Other people in other parts of the world decide that it is good, and they bring it to their own culture, and it spreads. That's literally the basis of Western and human civilization. Good things spread to larger crowds, and that is what leads to success. Imagine that you were applying this logic to antibiotics, which were, I believe, invented by white people. Imagine that white people said the only people who can get vaccinations and antibiotics are white people. That would be insanely racist. We created vaccinations and we created antibiotics. If you said, "Stop appropriating my penicillin," that would be a ludicrous thing to say, right? If an Ethiopian goat herder showed up in Starbucks and said, I can't believe that you are appropriating my caffeine. If Greek people came over here to America, to our capital, and said, I can't believe that you are appropriating our democracy with your system of government. All of those arguments would be patently absurd, right? And they would fly in the face of all intelligent human discourse. Yet that is what people who are arguing cultural appropriation is a thing are arguing. The fact that reasonable people with functional brains and understanding and comprehension do not understand that the best things in the world come from all over the world, and that all of us as a group, the human race, adopt the best additions, is a fundamental flaw of what's going on right now in the social media universe. When I saw that loser idiot who accused the girl of wearing that dress, which, by the way, is a beautiful fucking dress, all right? It's a great looking dress, whether you're a white person, a black person, an Asian person, or a Hispanic person. People don't own fashion. If they did, then every Asian person would have to continue to wear ridiculous Asian garb wherever they go, no matter how old they are and no matter what country they're born in. And every Mexican person would have to walk around in a goddamn sombrero all day, only drinking tequila. That is the foundation of racism. That is the foundation of only allowing yourself to embrace things that people like you have done before. That is the very essence of what America should be standing against. And that is why we have ended up in this weird circle where we can't even tell the difference between racism anymore in the modern day era and racism in the 1950s, because the NAACP is making the same arguments now that was made by white supremacists in the 1950s. You can't appropriate things. Another way of putting it, Christianity's entire purpose was to be appropriated. The goal of every religion, including the Muslim faith, is to appropriate as many followers as you possibly can, to go into a new culture and convince them that your side is right. If you are a religious person, you have been evangelized to, and you may well have been an appropriator of a religion in which you are not. If you are a Christian, you have appropriated in some way the Jewish faith, even though the Jewish faith and the Christian faith diverge at the New Testament. If you are a Muslim, you have appropriated the religion of someone else. Cultural appropriation is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The fact that people out there are arguing in favor of cultural appropriation as being a bad thing, every time you see that happen, if you're in college, if you're in high school, if you're at work, instead of keeping your mouth shut and being considered afraid of what the results are going to be, you need to fire back and hit these people with explanations. Can you drink coffee then? Should we have democracy in America? Should we, in any way, if we are white, allow non-white people to use the internet? Should antibiotics be available to everyone or only to white people, since white people created it? The idea that if a culture makes something, everyone else can embrace it if they like it is, in a word, absurd. And it's time for reasonable, normal human beings out there, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a radical moderate, wherever you are, to take up arms against absurdity, and by opposing it, end it. That's what the marketplace of ideas is about. When somebody has a stupid idea and somebody else has a good idea, the good idea needs to win. All too often in our country today, the bad idea is winning because the people who recognize it as a ridiculous idea are afraid to fight it because they're afraid that they'll get in trouble if they believe that cultural appropriation isn't a real thing. The truth of the matter is, everybody needs to culturally appropriate. Just like I have culturally appropriated Woke Center and fucking taken it over and started selling t-shirts, which you can buy at Outkick.com. Poor girl, wearing her dress. Good for her. She looked great in it. Good for her for standing up to all the losers online and owning the fact that she did nothing wrong at all. Okay, I'm going to give you a few gambling picks, and then I'm headed out to watch games tonight. Raptors, -7 over the Cavs. I got to tell you, too many. 7 points, I think, is too many. I'm on the Cavs +7. Golden State -11. It's going to be a bloodbath. I'm on Golden State -11. I think the Preds get it done on the road against Winnipeg, and I think the Penguins get it done against the Caps. That's the 4 questions that are out there. That's the 4 stories. If you liked this show, share it with your friends. Go to thehomeloanexpert.com. Make sure that you get all your gambling, get all of your mortgage needs taken care of there. Thehomeloanexpert.com, and go to sportsbookreview.com if you want to get hooked up now with the best lines. I just gave you my gambling picks. DBAP, boys and girls, don't be a pussy. I'm Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Coverage. Share it. Don't be a pussy. Consume Outkick. And wear whatever fucking dresses you want to, ladies. I'm out.